Good morning and welcome as we continue through our reading of the Gospel of John. And this week we read through chapters 10 and 11. Today, Cheryl Bean, who is one of our Sunday school teachers, she teaches the Rockers class, has joined us for our discussion. But Cheryl, before we get into this week's readings, would you share just kind of what this has meant to you as we have done this as a church family?
Well, sure. I guess first of all, just the study of John is truly a eyewitness view of Jesus on earth as he went about his ministry, and the fact that John was the disciple that Jesus loved just means so much to me. They were close, and so we are truly seeing Jesus as John saw him, and I just feel like that's so important. The other thing that I love about this church-wide study is, and it goes back to my many years in the classroom, we know that good teaching means getting the learners involved. They have to be part of the process. Mm-hmm. It's not just standing in front of a group and teaching them or telling them something. They have to be involved. Yeah. And our church has offered us this study in a way that we can do many things to get involved with it. So the Friday night video, or the Friday videos, the Zooms on Monday evenings, the fact that Brother David is preaching on Sunday from what we have studied all week. I mean, it's just such an opportunity for us to truly take a lesson or lessons and have a deep understanding, not just reading them briefly and going on to something else, but to really digest what John is telling us in this gospel. And I just feel like that's just a great way to study the Bible, and I'm so thankful to have the thirsty Christians in our church who want to know more about Jesus to be able to do this.
Yeah. So, as you read chapters 10 and 11, what spoke to you this week?
Well, of course, there are two big stories. Jesus as the Good Shepherd, mm-hmm. and the raising of Lazarus. And both of them speak very closely to me. The analogy of Jesus as a shepherd, our Good Shepherd, is very meaningful. I just think it's so true to life. And, I was raised a city girl, Amy. So I don't have a lot of rural background or a lot of knowledge of animals, but we did a study a few years back about shepherds and sheep, right. And I learned a lot of details about sheep and the fact that they won't follow a stranger, that they need to hear their shepherd's voice and know their shepherd's voice. And in John chapter 10, verse 14, Jesus says, "I know my sheep and they know me." And I just think that is such a personal thing, and I love to feel as he is my shepherd, because he truly is.
That's one of the most familiar images, I think, and a lot of people's favorite image, as God, Jesus, as the Good Shepherd. Well, I went with John 11 this week, and the raising of Lazarus. Now, in John 10:10, we hear Jesus say, I've come that they may have life and have it abundantly. And then we get to the story of Lazarus. And Jesus, another I am statement, I am the resurrection and the life. And we see as this plays out the compassion of Jesus. It contains the shortest verse in the Bible where it says Jesus wept. But when we get to the tomb and he has the men roll the stone away and he calls Lazarus out. And it says that Lazarus comes out and he's still bound in the grave clothes that he was wrapped in. And Jesus says, unbind him and let him go. Now, as I thought about that, what that spoke to me was Jesus offers all of us life. He says he came to offer life and offer it to us abundantly. But yet we are still bound by so many things that we can't really experience the life that Jesus offers to us. So my question for you today to think about is, what's keeping you bound? What binding are you experiencing from the life that Jesus is offering to you? So as we continue on this reading of John, I hope you give that some thought. Again, this week was some great readings, some of the favorite passages, and we bumped into 3 of the I am statements. So there was just so much to cover. And continuing forward, we still have a lot to cover as well.
Amy, in that story about Lazarus too, I have to interject that I identify so with Martha. And many of the women that I've studied the Bible with, we all do. We get so caught up in the details, which is what you're talking about.
Right.
We just get so caught up in wanting everything just perfect and everything to work just right. And I love thinking back to the fact that Jesus told Martha earlier to not worry, to only think about, him, and his life was what was important to her. And then we see this progression of now he is back at their home and with Lazarus being ill, and she truly believes, and she says to him, I know you are the Messiah and the Son of God. So to see her faith and her way of life change so is such a lesson for us as Christians.
A lot of lessons this week. So friends, I hope you're enjoying this study as we read through the Gospel of John together. And join us next week as we go through John 12 and 13. We will see you then.